Hey there, fellow divers, and welcome back to the Stool by the Fire. My name is Sean C, and I'm just a man with words. Today, I want to talk about finding and funding your first kit. Let's figure out which precious pieces we pawn and which we purloin for a different day. And as with any task, let's approach this with understanding first and talk lobbies. After that, we'll focus on looting as well as inventory, and then that final bite of steak, getting out. Then we go to my world, a playground of prices and juice hitting you with so many tantalizing purples and blues you'll stand back black-eyed wide and wondering what, where, and when. But don't fret. As I said, this is my island.
Yeah, it's mine.
And here, we are friends. So sub to that scribe in the corner and let's hit this. Chauncey, you say. I want to dive in. Wait, first, let's set up your squire so you can go in with free pots, fires, and the weapon of your choice. Even in high rollers, I take my free pots and arrows before going in. So take that time and set yourself up for success. As you do missions, you will unlock more and more gear to choose from. But okay, I already picked up some loot and want to bring in that really cool rare piece I found since I'm a fighter and it's a big hitty. Let's know what bringing in that piece means and what it puts you up against. There are 4 types of lobbies you can find yourself in right now. The 2 types you can choose on the play page are normals and high rollers. Let's stick to normals today. Within normals, everything is determined by gear score, and gear score is determined by, yep, you guessed it, your gear. And based on your gear, you will be put into one of 3 lobbies. 24s, 124s, or above, which are generally referenced in-game as normals. 24s is where we want to live for the time being. This lobby is designed for the new player experience where you won't run into overgeared players. That doesn't mean you won't run into experienced players though, as this is used for farming, both material and bosses. A knock-on effect of this use and the fact that you can't bring in many greens means that many times the common version of an item will often outprice an uncommon. Use this and this lobby to level your character and get better at the game. 124 and below, or 124s, are where you want to get good at PvP. You can build a competent kit with buffs and find fights with people that are on par with your own power level. Loot and mobs are generally the same, with slight increases on rarity percentage and things like a bit more copper versus iron in Gobbo caves. 125 normals, this is where I go to lose all of my choicest loot. I make sure to carefully craft and build a kit one Gordon Ramsay would be proud of, and then bring it into this lobby only to realize I am not only under geared at 285, but also completely out hacked. I mean out skilled. This is where the orchard of trees where fresh squeeze no pulp lives. Nothing but juicers. There is no cap, and no cap, if you want to find it, it's run here. Now we know why we are staying in 24s. Now let's talk about what we should bring in and what we should grab when we're there. If you have the gold, I would buy 1 stack of pots and 2 stacks of bandages. This, along with your squire pots, will give you more than one chance to come back from unlucky moments and not totally self-inflicted mistakes. When the inevitable does happen, pop a pot and then 2 bandages. That pot will help get rid of any of the gray or unrecoverable health bar, as well as some actual health over time, and the bandages will recover actual health on completion. Sweet. I've killed things. Quickly you'll find that chests are everywhere and mobs always have something, except spiders. Lovely, lovely spiders. Don't sleep on them though. Ankle biters they may be, they hold a baneful berth in the heart of every diver, be they high roller or low. Like we talked about in the lobby section, many commons can be extremely lucrative if pulled out of the dungeon. You can see a few along the right here. So now let's talk where to put it. We have an inventory 5 cells tall, so let's make it simple. Have 2 4-cell items split by 2 single-cell pieces of loot, which are generally, per PCV, the best lootables. Most loot isn't more than 2 cells wide, and if we have a piece of armor or 6-cell piece of loot we want, that just takes the place of 1 4-cell and 2 single cells, leaving a space for a 4-cell down below. This will let you maximize your space quickly so you don't get caught sleeping by someone walking up on you. You haven't died, you have an inventory full of loot, and you have no reason to stick around. Let's get out. As a delver, understanding where you are and where you plan to escape should be something you are constantly thinking about. There are different types of escapes depending on the map you find yourself on, but they can be broken down into 2 main types, static and triples. Statics are escapes like ropes or gated doors with stairs out that once taken are closed off to all other delvers, including your teammates. Not every map module has an escape, but if you find yourself on a module without one, any module in a cardinal direction, up, down, left, right, you will find one in that next one. Each static is also usually guarded by one mob, so be prepared to fight or evade as you escape. All 3 maps have other escapes that allow for more than one player to escape, or what I like to call triples. On Frozen, this comes in the form of spawning boats you can jump on or miss over and over and over. In Caves, this is a spawning elevator in the middle of the map, which is quite popular, as well as a raising portal stones in Prison. On Castle, there are multiple raising portal stone rooms that all allow for 3 delvers to escape. All of these escapes are first come, first live, so play smart and cautious or send it with that W and steal the one that just popped up. ADD break! Be like the cool kids and crouch jump. Jump, and while in the air, hold that crouch button. Remapping your crouch button to an easily accessible spot will allow you to navigate to areas quicker and open up the wide world of fine cheese. And while flying like Mike, your head won't trigger collision, allowing you to miss your own traps. Okay, we got out. Now what do we do with it? First off, the cost of listing is 15 or roughly 0.05 of the listing price, whichever is higher. So try and keep your sell price at or above 45 depending on the size. Thinking about it, selling a 4 cell loot of item for 45 gives you a 7.5 PCV, which is below the base 10 gold, which is how many gold coins we can pack into a cell when we're in dungeon. So let's try to stay roughly above that. But let's go into the market and try to follow this trend. Look, rolls, undercut, and lists. Or maybe we figure out a better way to say that. Give me your acronym for this concept below and let it roll off the tongue. First, let's figure out what everyone else is selling it for. And now, understand this. That what sells is what people pay for. Meaning there could be 5 of the same items with the same rolls, but 2 are priced, let's say, 10% more. As others match the lowest price, those top 2 will stay unsold, even though priced somewhat fairly. So don't find yourself as one of those overpriced items, and be willing to relist if the market moves down. When we look at these items, let's try and determine what the most important rolls on them are, as that will largely determine the price of the item. The well-known delver out there, Spud Hunter,
he's coming for that ass, bro!
has put it best. This game is about burst damage and burst speed, and the expensive rolls reflect this. True or additional damage of any sort, agility-based buffs, and any shoes with additional move speed. Beyond this, let the market tell you what the bottom is, and use it to determine how quickly you want to sell the item. If you want to make the most, aim to be the second or third priced option for that item. Always assume the cheapest item is usually priced 10 to 15% less than true to sell quickly. If you are wanting to get money sooner than later, that 10 to 15% discount off the cheapest item at the time is where you want to live. Also, numbers that aren't even or normal grab attention and can often help get that item sold just a bit sooner. Now list that bis and get that grab. Okay, I got money now, and now I want to buy things for me. Remember, burst damage and burst speed. I think unless there's some very specific reasons, try and live in Lightfoot boots, as your shoes are generally the only item that add to your speed stat without extra rolls. Of course, that extra roll being agility. Primary and secondary weapons, as well as gloves, can add additional damage, and depending on your class, physical or magical power is another stat that other armor pieces can roll that will also add to your damage stat. Take the time, look at your core stats and what each does for you. This is a game defined by failure, but our response to that failure is what breeds strength, and understanding how to make the build you want to play is what will make this game fun and enjoyable. So go out there, innovate, fail, rinse, and repeat. We dive into the dark to fight that which should not belong. Not because we are afraid, but because we are darker. My name is Chauncey, and I'm just a man with words. See you in the dark.